Welcome to the Citizen Spotlight Show here at Medfield TV. My name is Marie Nolan. I'm a Medfield resident of about 30 years and a member of the Medfield Energy Committee. And most importantly, I'm the Medfield Solarize coach. And we're here today to talk to New England Clean Energy, who is our preferred installer for the Solarize Medfield program. And I'm here with Rob Dubois, who is the solar consultant for the town of Medfield for the company. And we're also very happy to have join us Mark Durenberger, who is the president of New England Clean Energy over here.
Thank you, Marie.
Thanks for having us.
So just to start, I want to tell you a little bit about what Solarize Medfield is. And Solarize Medfield is a community program designed to help local homeowners and business owners to save money and help the planet by installing solar energy systems at discounted prices. And the Solarize Medfield program is supported by the town of Medfield, the Massachusetts Clean Energy Center, and the Massachusetts Department of Energy Resources. And it's run by local volunteers like myself. Each homeowner is contacted by the preferred installer that we chose, who are the New England Clean Energy people here, for a free evaluation and a quote to install solar on their property. And New England Clean Energy at that time will explain the details of the install and evaluate the homeowner's property. The New England Clean Energy installs the system, provides training, and handles owner issues directly. And once a contract is signed, the system adds to our tiered pricing formula. And after if the tiers are reached after you sign, because there's a number of tiers, and we'll go over this later on in the program, the vendor will refund the difference to you. So let's start by, I also wanted to tell you about what the goal of Solarize Medfield is. And the most immediate goal is that we would like to reach tier 5. There's 5 different tiers, pricing tiers. And we'd like to have the lowest price for everyone who signs up for the program. That would be about 25 systems if each system is about 8 kilowatts. Another goal would be to double the number of systems that the town of Medfield has, and I did some research about how many systems there are in Medfield, and roughly if you look at different programs that there's about 58 total, so doubling would mean 60 more, and that's a really high goal because this program is only in existence for 6 months, and we're in our 5th month at this time. So let me ask the first basic question about why should I go solar? Mark?
Well, probably the number one reason people go solar nowadays is to lower their electric bill. Because every kilowatt hour that you generate on your roof is one less kilowatt hour that you have to buy from the power company. The second most common reason people go solar is for the environmental impact. The idea of generating electricity that is clean means that you are no longer requiring somebody to burn a fossil fuel and put carbon dioxide and other nasty gases into the atmosphere that are unfortunately helping the planet warm up.
A lot of people ask me how New England Clean Energy was selected to be the solar installer for the Solarize Medfield program, so I thought I would just answer that myself. What we did is, because we applied to be part of the Massachusetts Solarize program, they gave us some support. They gave us a technical consultant, Solar Design Associates, and they worked with us to develop a request for proposal for installers. There were a number of people on the subcommittee, some other members of the Medfield Energy Committee like myself, and also the energy manager for the town was also on our committee. So we wrote this request for proposal, we put it out to bid, we got several bids including New England Clean Energy, and we then had a series of interviews of the bidders, and we compared the proposals to establish criteria that we had, and then we selected you guys because we thought you had the best price to value and a number of other points.
Thank you.
So I just kind of glossed over the tier structure. I said that there's 5 tiers, but I think the viewers would like a better explanation of it than just me kind of referring to it. So who wants to handle what the tiered pricing structure is?
I can take
Go
that
ahead,
one.
Ron.
So there's 5 different tiers for the program. Everyone starts out at tier 1, and then as more people in the program sign up, we increase to tier 2, 3, so forth, all the way to 5. The more people that sign up, the greater the tier, the larger the discount for everyone in Medfield. So the biggest discount is just starting off in tier 1, being in the program. That's where the heaviest discount is. But as more people do sign up, then the discount increases. So the tiers broken out, tier 1 was 0 to 25 kilowatts, and then we're in tier 2, which is 25 to 50, 50 to 100, 100 to 200, 200 plus. So right now we're in tier 3, and we have enough people verbally said they want to put solar on the roof to hit tier 4. So we're expecting to be there in a couple weeks.
Okay, great. And I do want to say we do have a sign on Route 109 that shows what tier it is. It's a solar gauge on the Medfield Park and Toys in front of their building. So look for that. And as we reach tiers, the next tier gets painted in. So hopefully by the end of November, we'll have all 5 tiers painted in. Another basic, I also wanted to say that we have a website. Look for it at www.solarizemedfield.org. A lot of what we're talking about today is also on this website, and it's pretty well organized by tabs. And it actually states what the pricing structure is and talks about what the different adders are. But I think people would like to hear from you all what, you're talking about a basic price, dollars per watt. But then in addition to that, why would it cost more for a given system? So could you?
So specific examples of why the price might go up. For each system that we install, we have a structural engineer evaluate the roof to make sure it'll handle the load. Every once in a while, that structural engineer will come back and say, you need to do a little bit of reinforcements. Perhaps it's sistering or doubling up rafters or putting in something called collar ties. So that will increase the cost of the system a little bit if your roof doesn't meet structural requirements. There are what we call a base panel in terms of how much it will produce, how much energy the panel will produce. If you want to produce more energy off your roof, you go with one of the more powerful panels. That will increase the price. Or if you want to go with the more aesthetic looking all black panel, that will increase the price a little bit. And there are other factors like that. Occasionally we come across a house that has a very old electric service. And before we do the solar, we want to upgrade the electric service. That will be an extra cost. And there's a number of those, and they're all listed out in detail on the solarizemedfield.org website.
Okay, great. And so those are the costs. How about what are the incentives available for solar that makes the price even more reasonable?
Well, there's a bunch of them, and they're actually pretty exciting. So the one that's most known is something called the Solar Investment Tax Credit. That is a federal tax credit. It is 30% of what you spend on the solar system. What that means is 30% of what you spend reduces the taxes that you owe the IRS. It's not like a deduction, which is subject to your tax bracket. It is 30%, doesn't matter what tax bracket you are in, that comes right off of your tax bill the next time you file your taxes. The other incentive that's pretty neat is something called the Solar Renewable Energy Credit or Certificate. That is a state program where you are paid based on how much your solar system produces, how much electricity it produces. And those solar credit payments start shortly after your system gets turned on, and they come every quarter for 10 years. And those amount to roughly $200 per 1,000 kilowatt hours of production. And the total payments vary based on how many panels you have on your system.
So you have the SRECs, you have the federal tax credit, you have a state.
There's also a $1,000 state
credit.
tax credit, that's right. And that works like the federal, but it's capped at $1,000.
What's the payback for solar?
The payback depends on how much sunlight you get on your roof, but typically in Medfield we're seeing between 6 and 10 years for the break even. So obviously people will get more sunlight, their system will produce more, and so their system will pay for itself a little bit sooner. But once the system's sort of broken even, then you still have 30 plus years of free electricity.
I do want to say that my husband and I, we personally decided to purchase a system, and we went through the process, which was great and very educational for us, because you can do a free site assessment. That would be the first step, that you would contact the installer. And so we had that, and Rob, you actually came out to our site and looked at it, and brought it up from Google, and look at maps. And we gave you the utility bills. But it was pretty impressive how you have all this analysis and spreadsheets to show us what kind of savings that we would have, and what kind of what the price would be, and it was all kind of laid out by month, how much how much we spend on utilities, and how much we would offset by our PV given certain types of panels that we wanted to use. And our payback was 9 years. It's a little long, but it's important to us, and we wanted to do it. I was surprised because we had considered solar early on, but we had other installers come out and say that we had too much shade. There's a lot of shade in Medfield. I live on Pine Street. There's a lot of trees on Pine Street, but our solar factor was such that with the kind of panels that you are offering that are so efficient, it was economical for us.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
Okay, so how about the payment options? Anybody want to talk about what
Sure.
what you're
There's
offering?
when you are getting a system, there's two options. You can lease the system, where the panel manufacturer technically owns the system. They keep all of the tax credits and the SRECs, but you get a little bit of a discount on your electric bill. Then the other option is to purchase the system, either through financing it or just outright cash payment. So as far as loans that we offer, there's a loan through the state. It's called the Mass Solar Loan, but you need to have a certain amount of sunlight in the year in order to qualify for that loan. It's a 10-year loan, and the state helps buy down the interest rate. Then there's also another loan through a different company called Blue Wave, and it's also a 10-year loan. But we're seeing most people in Medfield so far go with either the state loan if they can get that, or finance through their own means.
So more purchasing the system themselves than leasing it. How about if, I know some people come up to me and ask me about, well, I'm going to be leaving the town in the next 5 years, and it may not be worth it for me to have a system. What do you say to them when they say something like that? Or what do you offer as far as removing the system, putting it back, or putting it into another house?
So if you're planning on moving in the next year or two, probably not the greatest thing to do. But if you think you're going to be around longer than 5 years, then owning makes a lot of sense, particularly because it adds value to the house. And that's not something that I'm making up. That's Lawrence Berkeley National Labs did a study a couple years ago. It was based on the resale value of homes. They started the analysis in California. They then subsequently expanded it to nationwide households. And they found that houses sell faster and they sell for more when there's a solar system that goes with the house, an owned solar system, as opposed to a leased solar system. So the value of the value that is added is a function of how much the solar system produces or how much electricity it offsets. And the Lawrence Berkeley article spells that out. It's roughly, one way to look at it is if the system saved you $1,000 a year in electricity, it would add about $20,000 of value to the house. And that's one way to do it. Then they also talk about it in terms of dollars per watt. So if you put up 1,000 watts of solar, then it's probably going to save you about, or add $3,000 to $5,000 in value to the house. So there's a couple of different ways to look at that.
And I think we might have a reference to that study, if not that, other studies on our website. We have a tab of question and answers that people have most commonly about installing a solar system. And so I recommend you all looking at the website. for more reference on that, more research. So, Rob, how would I know if I have a good roof for solar?
So ideally, you want the roof to face south. You can go on Google Maps and look at it that way. It's pretty simple to do. Down is south. But ideally, if you're just outside looking at your roof, you want your roof to be getting between 6 and 8 hours of sunlight every day for the whole year. Obviously, when it's snowing, you're not going to get that much, or if it's cloudy. But any roof east to west will work. Once you start going north, then you really do start to detract how much electricity you're going to produce.
And I remember when my house was being evaluated, you have this piece of equipment, a solar eye on a pole that you bring to the site and you put it up on the roof, and pretty quickly you can find by looking at that just how much solar that you could expect to tract on that roof year long.
Yeah, we do look at and take measurements of how much sunlight your roof will get in the whole year. So it's the system design is based on that, and we can recommend using certain parts of the roof and leaving out other parts, depending on what type of system you want.
Okay. How long does it take to get a system up and running?
It depends on the system size, but for most, it's around 3 to 4 months. So the biggest part of the process is paperwork, which we file permits with the building and electrical, as well as with the utility, and get structural approval. So those take up the majority of the time. Once those are all approved and completed, we then can install the system. Our crew will be out there typically 3 to 5 days doing the installation, and then after that there's another round of permitting paperwork where we take care of building and electrical inspections, and then also have another permit with the utility that they handle. So we take care of all of that as part of the process.
So now it's the end of October. If someone signs up next month, is the weather an issue when you say 3 to 4 months?
It depends on the winter. So 2 years ago, we couldn't install for about 5 weeks with all the blizzards we had. Last winter, we installed throughout the whole season. So weather dependent, we never know what we'll get in New England.
So who can participate in the Solarize Medfield program?
Any resident of Medfield or business owner, business in Medfield, can participate in the program. It started in August and runs through the end of November.
Is there a size limit? I mean, not that we have humongous businesses and huge roofs in Medfield, but can any business owner be part of the program, or is it just below a certain
As long as
kilowatt?
they have space to put panels, they can participate.
That's great. And so they would contribute also to the tiers as well as homeowners?
Yes.
But that's one of the things I've always said, that 70% of the electricity use in Medfield is from homes. So, I definitely wanted to offer this kind of program. Being a member of the Energy Committee, we do a lot of work on the municipal buildings and, saving energy and being more efficient, practicing energy conservation for the schools and Council on Aging and Town Hall and whatever, but I definitely wanted to give that opportunity to homeowners. I mean, homeowners could do research themselves, but this is a great opportunity to have us do a lot of that legwork so that you can sign up with your friends and neighbors using the same installer. So I guess we touched on this already, but let's bring it up again. When does the Medfield program end?
So it ends at the end of November.
November 30?
And what that means is we need the $1,000 deposit for the system and also all the permits and paperwork signed as well.
So is it too late now to join?
Nope, we can still do site visits and we'll be doing them right up till the end.
Okay, so if someone decides November 25, they can still be part of this program?
Yes.
Okay, hopefully before Thanksgiving. Why would someone not go solar, Mark?
Well, we talked already about the people that aren't going to be around much longer. They're moving or planning on moving. So they might have second thoughts. If your roof is really shady or it's made of slate, we're probably not going to want to put a solar system up there. Unless, of course, you have room in the ground, because we will do a ground mount system. We do quite a number of those. Those are primarily the reasons to not go solar. It's just a lousy site, or you're not going to be able to see the benefit of it because you're not going to be there that long.
Okay. Finding out more information on this, I've already gave a plug to our website, www.solarizemedfield.org. But there are other places to find information. I want you to talk a little bit about your Miser blog.
Energy Miser, yes.
Yeah.
So I write a blog about energy, and it covers a whole host of things, environmental. It's called theenergymiser.net, or you can get to it from newenglandcleanenergy.com or necleanenergy.com. The link is on the top of the page. You'll find articles out there about cutting down trees and whether cutting down trees is okay if you're planning on putting in a solar system. Short answer is yes. There's an article about how panels are tested. Some people really like getting into the technical stuff. That's a good little article to drill down into the details. We just put a post up about plastic, because it's an environmental concern that a lot of people are thinking about. The plastic water bottles, for example. So you'll find a whole bunch of interesting stuff there, but a lot of it's solar focused. And then, of course, our website is a great resource for learning about solar. And you can also fill in the form there to request a quote. If you list Medfield, then when we get out there, you'll get all the special Medfield pricing for your system.
Because, so that's, I'm sure if you just Googled New England Clean Energy, you'd find your website.
Absolutely.
And I did want to, I didn't talk much about, other than saying you had a good price to value, and we really like the components that you offer for this program. But other things that impressed us about your company was that you're local, Hudson, Massachusetts. You have over 700 installations that you've
about 750 now.
Yeah, already under your belt, and that you've participated in a number of community programs like Medfield.
Yes.
Right. Acton.
Harvard, Acton, Shirley, Littleton, Boxborough, Stowe. So yes, we've done a number of these community programs.
Right, and then we also were impressed by your warranties that you're offering. Do you want to?
Yes, we offer the strongest warranties in the industry. So, for example, when guys like Rob come out to your site and they do an estimate for you, they also measure the shade and they estimate how much your system's going to produce. We write a production warranty for that number, and if your system doesn't produce what we estimate, then we actually pay the difference. So we have what's called a 20-year production guarantee. We also have a 20-year workmanship warranty, so any of the work we've done is covered. And along with that, you're able to monitor your system remotely, and we also monitor your system remotely to make sure it's working properly. So we stand behind our systems. We care very much that they're working. When I started the business back in 2006, my primary motivator was about the environment. I had been doing climate change presentations for Al Gore, and I had, at the time, 3 12-year-olds, 14-year-olds, I guess, and I was very concerned about the kind of planet they were going to get left with, and so I started this company to make a difference in the climate. And the installation of solar is a big piece of being able to cut back on our carbon footprint and make sure this planet doesn't get overheated. And so when I put up a solar system, it's very important that it actually do what it's supposed to do, because if it's not doing what it's supposed to do, it's not helping the planet. And you'll find if you talk to everybody at our company, that's a really important factor for all of them, and that's why they know that we're doing right by the planet and helping our kids and grandkids and generations to come.
And yeah, and I think the warranties are great. It's less risk for us as the homeowner if you have that kind of a production warranty.
And the reason we can do these warranties is that the systems, the equipment that you use is quite reliable, and we do a very careful installation job so that we know we won't have to go back and work on these systems or repair these systems. So if you put them in right, they're going to run very well for a very long time.
Great. Well, that's about it, unless you feel like you want to add something else.
I had one other
for the
thing to
viewers.
add.
Okay, great.
We've been asked, people have been getting quotes from other solar companies. One thing you'll notice that whenever there's a Solarize program, many solar companies will come to the town thinking that they have an opportunity to cherry pick customers. You're free to go with any company you want. Just recognize that if you go with that company, you won't be helping the other people in town get a better price on their solar.
All right. So with that, I want to thank Rob and Mark for being here to
Thanks for
answer
having
these
us.
questions, and thank you, Medfield, for listening to us. Good night.
Medfield TV, community shows.